How to forgive a loved one after they've committed suicide is probably one of the most difficult things there are to do. My brother committed suicide years ago. I remember the day that I got the phone call. I was panicked. My mom was panicked. Everybody was in shock. Couldn't believe it. Or could I? I knew my brother was going through some difficult times. And I want to share the story with you. I want to share the story from anger, denial, depression, fear, to ultimately acceptance and love and forgiveness. My brother's gone. But one thing that helps me through is the understanding of the universal principle we call free will. You guys probably won't like this much. It's the ego kicking and screaming. Let it. Follow me through this journey, and I guarantee you, you will never look at this the same. So what am I talking about? Free will. When you're born with a birthright. You could create beautiful things, or you can create weapons of mass destruction. Ultimately, it's your birthright, free will. Everybody's given it. It's what makes deeds of generosity so kind and so pure. It's because they didn't have to do that. Nobody has to be kind, but we want to. And that's the beauty of the law of free will. Now, if you go and say you shouldn't have killed yourself, what you're essentially saying is people shouldn't have free will. Now, I want to explain that a little bit more because it's kind of harsh to say. What's the opposite of free will? Ownership. Property. Now, when you're born to your parents, and it may feel like you are owned or you are property, but there's innate ability to just know. You just know that you have free will inside of you. That's why you say no to your parents, because it's that will. Your parents try to break as much as they can, but ultimately, you know that you are free and nobody owns you. You have free will. I want to share with you something that one of my teachers shared with me years ago when I was going through the thick of it. After my brother passed away, I made a phone call to a dear friend. And I told him what had happened. And I told him that I was suffering. He said, I want you to do me a favor. Pull over. So I was driving, so I pulled over. He said, I want you to close your eyes and breathe. I want you to say, Kenny, I'm sorry. So I said, Kenny, I'm so sorry. And I was just sobbing. And he said, I want you to say, please forgive me. I said, Kenny, please forgive me. And then he said, Kenny, I love you. And I said, Kenny, I love you. Now, why does that feel so good? Let's think about the structure of that statement. I'm sorry. What happens when you say I'm sorry? You let down your position. You let down the need to be right. You lay down your ego. I'm sorry. You drop to your knees and you open your arms, stretch wide. And you lift your heart out and you say, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. The reason that's second is because you need to say I'm sorry and drop the ego to where you could be coming from a loving place, a place of non-ego. Please forgive me. This is a very altruistic point of view. The third, once you've dropped the ego and you've spoken the words of truth, please forgive me, you say, I love you. Now, if you recall our discussion on be in the moment and forgiveness, what you have to do is fill your childlike sense with joy first. You breathe life into your childlike version of yourself. And then you allow that childlike version of yourself to breathe life into you. We're all one. So it applies here too. If you're trying to forgive a loved one, you breathe life into that loved one by saying, I love you. The third step. You fill them with joy because they're not suffering anymore. And it's not your fault. It's not. It's not your fault. No, it's not. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. I feel it. I feel your suffering. It's like a heavy brick, and you want more than anything to be lifted of that brick. But that brick is there because of the story mode that you're in. Have you ever been in story mode where you're telling yourself a story of when your loved one used to be alive and you're just in story mode? And then this happened, and then that happened, and then we did this, and then we did that, and we talked about this, and I remember what I wore, and I remember what was said. That's story mode. What you're doing is you're trancing yourself. You're in denial of the moment. You don't want to feel the pain of him being gone. That's why people fall into depression. That's why they don't want to pay their bills, or cut their grass, or get haircuts, or shower even. Because that's the now. But they're in story mode. They want to live when their loved one was alive. I know this because I was in story mode too. I was telling myself a story, and I fell into this dark hole. My friends pulled me out. I received awareness of what was going on. I was rattled awake. I was refusing the moment. I was refusing to grieve. I was in the fetal position, protecting my vitals, when I needed to be on my knees with my arms stretched wide. How many resonate with this? If you really want to be free of it, drop to your knees. You say, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And I love you. And that's just a little bit of Neosporin. You say it daily. How many days? Well, as many as it takes for you to hear the person's name and your heart remain open. That's when you know. You may be coming from a place of great suffering. You may be coming from a place of disparity. Be there. Be there fully. Accept that there's something covering the love that is within you. And go, what's covering this? It's denial. Breathe love into that which covers your heart. Breathe love into that denial. Because ultimately, it's up to you to break the bonds of suffering. So what's my message? My message is this. free will. Everybody has it. There's going to be a time where you're going to have a phone conversation with a friend or a loved one, and it's going to be about the passing of your loved one. For me, it was my niece. My niece walks up to me and she says, "Hey, Uncle Kenny." She's 4 years old. She's so beautiful. She's just alive and innocent and young and free. She's free. She's not programmed yet with the sore subjects, don't bring it up. She speaks her mind. I mean, I look like my brother. Sometimes I talk like my brother. So she calls me Kenny. Makes sense to the innocent mind, but it doesn't make sense to the wounded mind. So if I was still hurt when she said that, I'd feel a cut. I'd feel my heart tense up. That's what you feel when you have that anxiety, when it's hard to breathe, your heart's closed. Breathe love into your heart. Open up. Do the 3 steps. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Breathe love into your loved one that's no longer with you. Imagine them being free. You're imagining them suffering. You're imagining it your fault. And if you're not imagining it your fault, maybe you're just imagining it not a joyful experience. And why would it be a joyful experience? Somebody passing that shouldn't be gone. My message is basically this. You deserve to be happy. Uncover your heart. And hopefully I've described how to uncover your heart. My brother is in a great place in my heart. And I'm able to live on. I'm also able to forgive myself. You see, some of you may believe in passing messages with one's mind to one another, psychic abilities, etc. Well, I had that with my brother. I have that with my sister too. I'm able to, I don't know if it's read body language just with expert level or if I can really read thoughts, but I can read people's emotions even when they're not near me because I'm tuned into my heart. The hardest thing for me to forgive is myself because I knew my brother was struggling. I did. I knew he was going through a hard time. He got a job in Illinois, and on his way out, he spent all the money on drugs, substance abuse. He's going through a tough time. I knew he spent all his money. But I didn't say anything. I didn't say, "Hey, look, here's another $1,000. This will get you over there." I didn't say that. I don't know why. I remember my last moment with him. As he was driving away, I shouted his name and the car stopped. I thought, this might be the last time that I see him. But my heart was clogged, and I didn't say what was on my mind. You got to forgive yourself. Nobody's perfect. You know what we're talking about? We're talking about intuition. Are you familiar with the term? Intuition is your God thought. It's your highest self. It's that little voice in your head. Intuition. It's tiny. It whispers what the right thing there is to do. So I'm talking about my intuition, and I didn't listen to it. doesn't make me a bad person. It just means that I've missed the mark. And there's things that I could learn. I want to share this with you because we all have intuition, and it's a silent little whisper, and it says just the right thing to do. You know what the right thing there is to do. The more you listen to your God thought, or your intuition, or your highest self, some people refer to it as spirit guides, the louder that voice becomes, and the freer that you will become. One day you're going to wake up and you're going to go, I have no emotional poison in my heart. I am free. Don't thank me. I only pointed the way. You have to do the work. You have to do the work. You have to unhypnotize yourself. You're telling yourself a story. I didn't do this. It was all my fault. I'm in the past. I'm in story mode. Tell yourself a new story. Tell yourself, I'm sorry. Drop to your knees. Please forgive me. I love you. Fill your loved one up with joy because they're not suffering anymore. I guarantee you that. Only we are. For Earth, I believe, is a battleground for spiritual learning. We're all learning. We're all learning here. And the lesson that I went through was a tough one. Such is life. Life is difficult. That's why bars are so popular. Because we work all week and we just get drunk on the weekends. Why think about any of this stuff? But you're special. You know that there's more to life than just numbing your heart. When you drink alcohol, you might feel better after the first sip because you're now numbing your heart. You're numbing it. Don't numb it. Go into the pain. Go into the pain. Turn the light on. Turn the light on and just be there. Spread some light into the pain. Love the pain. It'll dissipate slowly but surely. It will subside. It will subside. Spread love, spread joy where there's fear and doubt. I heard a story once of a town that was raided by fear and doubt until they knocked on the door of faith and courage. Faith and courage opened the door. There was no one there. Because in the face of faith and courage, fear and doubt vanish. What I'm talking about will take courage. It'll take courage for you to speak life into an otherwise fearful and hard, flat place, crushing place, sad place, a place of mourning. I believe in you. I believe that you will do this work. I want you to get out a piece of paper. Better yet, I want you to get a bar of soap in the bathroom, and I want you to write, I am enough. Now why? Why write I'm enough on the bathroom? You have to believe that you're enough before you'll do any of this work. You deserve to be happy. Once you realize you're enough, you realize that you can live without suffering. You can live without the lower vibrational thought. It's so nice to share this with you. I hope that it reaches you. I hope that you hear my message. I hope that it helps. Make a conscious choice to change. Make a conscious choice today. Live consciously. Guard the gateway of your mind, like I said before. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one.